intelligent talk that's sure to raise the IQ.
Here's Guy Wehman, Ben Brunson, and Frank Vernuccio inside the news.
Welcome back to Inside the News. Glad to have you with us, our international segment. And we're still going to be covering some of what's going on with the election and some of the fallout. Ben Brunson, he's in the bottom middle. Top left is Frank Vernuccio. My name's Guy Wehman. I'm in the top right with the Christmas tree behind me. And you know what? There's some good things happening here. We've got, this is Thanksgiving week coming up. We'll give our Thanksgiving wishes at the end of the program. And then Christmas just a few weeks away. And yes, we say Christmas on this show. Okay, Ben, worldview, what's going on?
Oh, the world's very excited about President-elect Joe Biden because it's the good times are back once again. Just one practical implication of many. And not only are the global environmentalists all excited that they're going to have an acquiescent United States, but the Remainers in Britain are excited and energized once again. And it looks like Brexit and the completion of a Brexit, this has been a story that's been going on for a long time, but Brexit appears to be in danger once again. A true Brexit where the UK can regain its sovereignty and leave the EU and be an independent nation. It's what the people of the UK want. But the deep staters in London have thwarted this all along and in Brussels. And Boris Johnson seems to be caving to the Remainer vote inside, the Remainer sentiment inside his own Tory party. So there are practical implications all across the board. The Chinese, as we've talked about on recent shows, have reasserted themselves. They're cracking down on what is left of the independence movement inside Hong Kong. They're arresting people. They're being more militant and more aggressive in the South China Sea with their military. So there are ramifications everywhere. Huawei, one of our favorite companies, is already reaching out to the incoming Biden people to say, hey, we want to come back in and supply our equipment to you once again so that China can spy on everything the West does, which is the only reason Huawei exists.
All right, Huawei, that's one of your favorite companies, isn't it, Frank?
Yeah, it certainly is. Let's take a run around the world to see how a Biden presidency would affect American interest, and in fact, world interest. In Europe, one of the chief hopes that I think that the conservative element in Europe had was that American energy production would free Europe from dependence on Russia for its energy and from the political gains that Russia would gain from having total sway over European energy. Well, if Biden rejoins the Paris Climate Accords, if he goes through with his attacks that he's implied and stated against fracking, against development of fossil fuel energy, so forth in the United States, that would leave Europe once again heavily dependent on Russia for its energy supplies, and the political implications of that are vast. Let's look at the Middle East. From the very beginning of the Trump administration, his outreach and his success, for example, with Saudi Arabia, and the subsequent peace deals that have occurred, have all been dependent on a level of trust that the United States would stand up to Iran. Well, now we have an administration that has, in the past, in terms of Obama-Biden, tilted towards Iran, favored Iran, signed off on a treaty which allowed Iran within X number of years to build nuclear weapons. There is no reason any longer, and under a Biden presidency, to hope that peace in the Middle East can continue or to grow. In fact, it'll go right back to being the danger spot it has been. Let's look at Asia. And I'm going to be as blunt as I possibly can. China has a president that they've bought and paid for in Joe Biden. If that's the case, do you really believe that China Joe, bought and paid for by Beijing, would stand up to China's aggressive attitude in potential invasion of Taiwan, incursion into other areas of the middle of Asia, including Vietnam and others? Those countries will have no choice under a China Joe presidency, but to tilt towards China. Those are the extraordinary implications of a Biden presidency.
This is the first I've heard the phrase China Joe. Now, maybe you guys have heard it before. If not, we've just coined it right here with Frank. You know what, Ben? You were shaking your head when he said that, but that's right spot on, isn't it?
Well, it used to apply to Joe Stilwell, the American general who had such a heavy role in China before and during World War II. Now it applies to Joe Biden. 4 years ago, we had this fictitious narrative that Vladimir Putin owned Donald Trump and had, as Adam Schiff liked to call, compromat or compromising information on Donald Trump. That was all fantasy. It was all fictitious. It was all made up by the Democratic Party and the left-stream media. However, Joe Biden is in actuality owned and controlled by Beijing. Beijing has paid millions of dollars to the Biden family through Hunter Biden and James Biden, Joe Biden's brother. And that is a fact. It is well documented. It's not theory. It's not our theory. It is a fact. So they actually have massive amounts of compromising information on the Biden. So as Frank said, you can only assume that Joe Biden will be a compliant, subservient force to not only the EU, but to China. And we have to talk about the Great Reset in an upcoming segment here, but we have a lot of things that are being unleashed. Donald Trump was really the wall between American interests and a lot of bad progressive ideology that the rest of the world wants to impose on America to drive us into the ground and make us a chattel nation to the rest of the world. And that, without Donald Trump, those doors and forces are unleashed.
You know something, Frank, and you got about 10 seconds to respond here, but Donald Trump was that singular person who had the stamina to fight off the attacks and still look out for America's best interests.
It's fascinating that the left was revulsed at the thought of an American president who said, let's put America first. The president of the United States is, after all, the employee of the American people. It's his duty to put American first. It's fascinating how the left hated the idea.
That was Frank Vernuccio. You can find him at usagovpolicy.com. He's with the American Voice, America's News Minute.
America Analysis of News and Media at usagovpolicy.com.
Yes, and the Minute Report for America. That's what I was trying to get to. And then Ben Brunson with the Falstaff, Enigma, and Esther Sling. You can find Ben's books at amazon.com. Great Christmas presents, and benbrunson.com. Here's another one right here. We'll be back.
You're listening to Wehman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News.